Working on this 78 International Scout. It has not been running right, and it's also been hot starting and some other weird things. So I always kind of go over stuff before I really tell somebody it's one thing or another, but just spitballing myself and the gentleman whose car it is. We're going over a few things. After I got the car here, started looking over things, I noticed, let me show you. So I noticed the coil wires were kind of burnt up, and I've already started working on it a little bit, but as you can see, that is an open wire essentially coming to the coil from the coil. And so I got talking to the gentleman. He goes, "Oh yeah, I had a fuel filter pop loose and catch fire. So this should be the issue with the miss." On top of that, I did notice the cap was burned up, and the rotor also was burned up a little bit. So we're gonna replace all that stuff. The starter solenoid, I believe, is still going out. Basically, when this car runs for a little while, the coil is super hot, which wasn't a complaint. I noticed that. The coil gets super hot and it just doesn't want to fire off again. It takes it several turnovers and it kills the battery. So these open circuits might not have anything to do with that, but the starter solenoid, I believe, either has a loose wire as well or just needs replacing. So we're going to dag all that, but before we do that, we're going to get this wiring sorted. I don't like open wires. I know my favorite thing, wiring, but these shouldn't be a big deal. It only burnt to about the last 2 inches over there going into the distributor, so we're just going to replace what we need to get this thing back operational. This thing is pretty clean as is, so we're not going to be doing a whole lot unless he wants, but it's a driver, and like I said, he enjoys it, so he just wants to get back running correctly and not have any issues with a hard start. So we're going to work on that and keep going. All right, we got her back together. We fixed this wiring. When we get down, we're up at my house. I don't have room for this because it doesn't have a top, so I didn't have any spot in the garage. Anyway, long story short, we're going to put some conduit, some covering over that to keep that from hopefully getting burned up again if something ever catches fire again. The rotor had a little bit of flaming on it, and the cap did too, so I'm gonna crank it up, see how it acts. If it's still doing the same thing, we'll go ahead and replace that as well, and then we're still gonna move down here and replace this starter as requested. You can kind of see it tucked in the frame rail over there. That one's been replaced before, but I don't know how long ago. The sticker's pretty worn, so my guess would be it's been a while. I know those starter solenoids and those are bad about just wearing out. It's kind of a wear point on those. So we're going to fire it up, see what happens, see how she acts. All right, we still have a miss somewhere. Another one thing he wanted me to do is the valve covers were dripping, and he also had a tick every now and then at start up on the driver's side. So easiest way to fix all that is put valve covers on it. It was leaking anyway, so we're going to take a look at this top end, and I don't see anything sludgy or anything that just looks bad. We'll check some valve lash just to make sure nothing's really out of the ordinary on any of these cylinders, but nothing appears to be just blatantly obvious. So everything looks like it's getting oiled pretty well. Sorry about the lighting, guys. I am actually underneath my carport, but I'm staying cool, so that's something to be said. So we're going to check the valve lash real quick, and then we're going to get some new valve covers on this. Obviously this side is going to take the longest because everything's in the way on this side. So air cover will have to come off. I'm probably going to have to remove the air compressor, at least get it out of the way. Some of these hoses are going to be in the way, but we're going to have to leave them connected so we don't evacuate the coolant or any AC freon. So the valve cover on the passenger side is going to be probably take up most of the time. Starter won't take long to replace. This is going to be most of the time right here is in this valve cover, which is not a big deal. It is what it is. Customer wants it done. We're going to get it done. So let's continue working. All right, so we still have the miss, as I was talking about. It seems to be on the driver's side bank. I just pulled a spark plug. I don't know if that's going to focus enough. Pulled a spark plug. It doesn't look awful. There is a good bit of carbon buildup on the end of it, and There's a good bit of oil in it also, which I know why the oil's in it, because the valve covers were leaking. This plug was pretty loose. It didn't take much to pull it loose. I could have probably done it by hand, which isn't great. So we're probably going to go ahead and do plugs and wires. I got to talk to the customer. These wires are pretty old, as you can see. I'd rather just have all the ignition components working properly. But that's the plug. I decided to pull one. I don't think this is going to focus, and I apologize for that. But yeah, that's not great. So we're going to see. It's never going to focus, is it? All right, we are back on this International. We have a new cap and rotor in as well. We didn't change the wires just because I don't want to change too many things while we're still chasing a little miss. I haven't driven it yet. We still need to finish putting a starter on it down there and change the oil. Those shouldn't affect the misses, but I didn't want to drive and get it hot without checking that stuff out first. So we're going to finish that up. We need to put some wire loom on some of this wire where it was burned off on the old stuff. And then we need to replace this vacuum hose right here, which is probably collapsed going to the distributor. So we got a few things to fix, and then we can go for a ride and see if the issue still presents itself. We did not change the wires, and we did not change the plugs. So those may be next, but either way, we're going to finish up some of this little tedious stuff on it and then go for a drive and try to figure out what the deal is with the slight miss. It feels like it's on the driver's side. The only thing I can tell you that is it's dual exhaust going out the back, and this bank on the passenger side seems to run fine. That side has a miss coming out of the tailpipe, or at least it sounds like it to me. So anyways, yep, let's get it finished up. All right, it appears this starter has been replaced before, because that's an aftermarket one, and so is this one. The only difference is, well, there's no difference. This spacer ring came on the other one, so we're gonna put that back on this one as well. Everything else lines up the exact same way. So we're gonna get these swapped out. There's a little bit, sorry, I didn't take the wheel off, so we are operating in this narrow space. So there is a little bit, when I say little bit, this wire right here, I think is what's actually causing it to get hot and act up. So it's pretty brittle between here and this. We're going to take this off, see how bad it is. We're probably going to replace this ring terminal. And while we're at it, we're going to put some heat shrink over the end of this so it's not arcing, and basically clean all that wiring up and get the new starter in. Yep, so we're going to do that. We're going to change the oil while we're under here. We got some good AMSOIL products in. Just came in yesterday. So we got that all going, and we're going to keep working on this thing. As you can see, it was definitely time for an oil change. That oil's pretty dark. I don't see any metallic or anything bad. So we're going to drain it, change the filter, and then get some new stuff in it. And then finish up on the starter under here. I didn't want to drop the starter in this while it was draining. I had this draining while I was getting the other one out. So I've made that mistake before. Rookie mistake, and I'm not going to do it now. So we're going to let this finish dripping real quick. Pop the drain pan plug back in it, and then we're going to finish the starter, and then we're going to change the filter last, put new fluid in it, and go for a drive. All right, so as I got in here more of this wiring, I realized how bad it was. So we went ahead and replaced all the terminals and made sure the wiring was good all the way back. And then we also heat shrink the main cable. I'm thinking that these couple wires right here were actually the ones that were causing the issue with the starting solenoid and arcing on it, just because some of the connection was pretty loose to where these plugs had just kind of twisted and gotten pulled off. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be his issue. Basically, long story short, his issue is he'll drive it for about 30 minutes or so, and then when he shuts it off, it's just impossible to start up again. So some of these loose wires here, and then some of the loose wires earlier on the distributor, I'm thinking are going to be the cause. Just heat soaked. The coil, I couldn't touch it after I ran it for about an hour. I couldn't even barely put my hand on the coil. It's just so hot. So I think it was just arcing, and that's some of the problem, but also the starting solenoid was also going out. So I think this is all going to be his problem. We're going to button it back up the correct way, and then get some oil in this thing, go for a drive. All right, nothing like being under the gun and it start raining. because I don't want to have this thing out in the rain. Obviously there's no top on it. So we just finished up, and we're gonna go give it back to the owner and put it in the garage for him and catch a ride before this rain gets any worse. So nothing like a rainstorm to get you motivated. Anyways, thanks guys. We'll probably have some more on this car. There's a few other things I saw. We'll see if the owner wants to do it or not. But anyways, yeah, thanks for tuning in. See y'all soon.